All right. Thank you so much for joining me today. I'm super excited to be here. Today's Lunch and Learn, we're going to dig into SPF, featuring some of our SPF products. So we're going to learn all sorts of things on why you need it, how they determine it, and all sorts of things. So thank you so much for joining me today. Let's go ahead and get started. Let's start with 5 reasons why you need to wear SPF. Well, we have our UVA and UVB rays that will penetrate deep into your skin, and they cause fine lines, wrinkles, dark spots, and hyperpigmentation. The way that I remember this is UVA. I think to myself, that stands for aging. Those rays are going to go down into your skin and cause some of those things we see with aging and even premature aging. You know, when we look at UVA rays, the more sun that you're exposed to, the faster that you will age. So just kind of a general rule of thumb when we're looking at UVA rays. Now, UVB rays are the rays that are going to burn your skin. Not sure if you guys know, but as we get older, our skin becomes more translucent or more transparent. It also becomes thinner and actually less pigmented. So as we age, we also may start to burn easily. I know for me myself, I used to be able to go out into the sun and as a kid and not burn. And obviously now that I'm getting older, I need to really make sure that I do not skip that SPF. It's very, very important. And I know a lot of you actually reach out to me about dark spots and hyperpigmentation. And, you know, maybe some of your customers or friends are dealing with that. So, I mean, number one is a huge reason and probably what most people think of as to why you need to wear SPF. But the second point is, or the second reason is, you know, some of the things we use on our skin, such as acids like AHA and BHA, which you learned at in one of our Lunch and Learn sessions last month, or even antioxidant-rich products like vitamin C and retinol can actually cause redness, irritation, and burns. They actually can make your skin more sun sensitive. So it's very important to follow up with SPF in the morning, especially in the morning before you are going to be exposed to the sun rays. Now, here's the thing, you guys, even if you aren't outside that much, or even if you live in a climate like mine where we have really long winters where it's cold, you're still exposed to those sun rays. Even if you're driving a car, you're exposed to the UVA and UVB rays. So it's important to get in the habit of wearing your SPF all year round. Now, dark spots and wrinkles can pay you a visit early. Sometimes some of the damage that comes out in our skin can be from early on in life, but we can help prevent more sun damage and dark spots, you know, as we age if we do, you know, get in the habit of applying our sunscreen. Now, what about your acne scars? If anyone has any kind of scars, will take more time to fade if you do not wear sunscreen, and they will turn into dark spots, and it can just make that hyperpigmentation worse as well. And of course, not wearing sunscreen increases your risk for skin cancer. So 5 reasons why you need to be wearing an SPF, I'm going to say daily. Now, I already talked about the difference between the UV rays. So we do know that UVB are the primary cause of sunburn, and UVA are, you know, those that cause the aging. Now, it's really important when you look at sunscreens to find one that's actually going to be recommended for both UVB and UVA rays. And we'll dig into that a little bit as well. Now, the other thing I want to point out is there are different types of sunscreen. So generally, when you hear the word sunscreen, and some of these terms have actually kind of changed over the years. So when you kind of dig into it, you might have heard, you know, things in the past, but there are essentially 2 types of sunscreen, and we're going to call them physical and chemical, or even organic sunscreens. Chemical and organic are used both for that term. Now, a physical sunscreen does exactly kind of what it says. It acts as a physical barrier between the sun and your skin. It contains minerals such as zinc oxide and titanium dioxide that act as UV filters by reflecting the sun's harmful rays before they are able to penetrate into the layers of our skin. Now, these would be our physical sunscreens that we would have in Motives would be some of our foundations. We actually do have our custom blend foundation in the US and Canada, and that is considered a physical sunscreen. So it does put a barrier on your skin. We also have our liquid to powder foundation right now that also does have a little bit of SPF in there, but it does create that physical barrier. So there are other mineral powders that technically would put that visible barrier on the skin, or physical barrier. So this type of sunscreen must be applied more carefully to ensure it covers every inch of the skin. And so that's a good kind of rule of thumb. It does need to be reapplied, especially if it's wearing off in certain areas, because it can't protect your skin if it's not totally covering it. Okay, so that's kind of how you can remember that. Now, chemical sunscreen implies a form of sun protection that prevents skin damage by absorbing harmful UV radiation. Okay, so it's organic compounds, and you can see avobenzone, homosalate, octinoxate, and you can see those are actually absorbed into the skin rather than sitting on top of it to act as an effective UV filter. So think of it as a UV filter. Now, frequent reapplication is necessary. Why? Because when your skin absorbs it, its job is to break it down because it recognizes it as something that shouldn't be there. So that's why they only last for so long, all right? Because that your body's doing its job and breaking that down, and then it's not able to actually filter out those rays anymore. So very important to continue to apply it throughout the day, especially if you're going to be outside. Now, what is a broad spectrum sunscreen? Well, that's one that contains ingredients that protect users from both UVA and UVB rays. So as I said earlier, it's really important to, look for those SPFs that are going to give you that full kind of protection on your skin. So what does SPF stand for? And I know that kind of is kind of a silly question, but in my years of training on skincare, I've actually had quite a few people ask me, what is SPF and what does that stand for? And it actually stands for sun protection factor. And the SPF number tells you how many times longer the sunscreen allows you to stay in the sun without burning. For example, an SPF of 30 means it will take you 30 times longer to burn, 10 minutes to burn without sunscreen, and about 300 minutes with sunscreen. Now, of course, these are just like estimates, when in doubt, and when you think about it, just reapply your sunscreen, because I think that's what I see the most, even with having children. Like, you don't realize, especially if they're swimming or, if they're outside for a long time, you put it on at the beginning, but we don't always think to reapply as soon as we should, or we kind of think it lasts a little bit longer than what it does. So I don't think you can overuse it as far as applying it too often. So just get in the habit of that. Now, here's some application tips when it comes to SPF. It's really recommended to apply sunscreen 15 to 30 minutes before going outside to allow it to properly sink into your skin. I just really recommend people do it when they're getting ready in the morning, before they get dressed, before they do their makeup. That's really the best time, because if you make it part of your routine, it's not as easy to forget to apply it. Now, of course, reapply your sunscreen every 2 hours for the best protection, even if your skin isn't burning. You could be at risk from harmful UV rays after that period. And I don't know about you guys, but have you ever had that where you didn't feel like you were burning, but then later on that kind of came out? So again, doesn't hurt to be careful. Now, I'm going to give you some additional tips beyond SPF, just as far as sun protection. Of course, wearing long sleeves or something covering your skin is going to be even better than just reapplying sunscreen. And of course, that's why you see people with big sun hats on, always protecting their face and as much as their body as they can from the sun. And I know I used to be a sun worshiper. I came from a time where we would, bathe outside with actually like baby oil on our skin and all of that, but definitely I've learned along the years. And I don't think it was really talked about then either. We didn't really put sunscreen on, like my parents didn't put sunscreen on me. So I'm kind of like really careful now because, I myself have sun damage from when I was younger. That's starting to come out now. So I don't want any more than that. So I am much more careful now with my skin. All right, so let's get into our most popular SPF products that we have. The first one I'm going to talk about is our Lumiere de Vie Daily Brightening Broad Spectrum SPF 50. So what I love about this is it does have the 4 active sunscreen ingredients that protect your skin from both those UVA and your UVB rays, which means it is a broad spectrum SPF. It's ideal for skin types, especially sensitive to burning, as the SPF 50 provides high level protection against sunburn. I honestly have read a lot about higher than SPF 50 really doesn't do more than SPF 50. So sometimes we might see, SPF 70, SPF, I don't even know how high they go at this point, but there's a lot of things out there that say like, you're not going to get any more protection really above SPF 50. So this one is really nice. And again, it provides that high level protection against sunburn. But the difference between this one and other SPFs out there is it also has brightening ingredients in it as well. And we'll talk about the ingredients in a little bit. And it evens the skin tone for a healthier, more radiant looking complexion. So therefore, it helps reduce the appearance of dark spots, helps protect and soothe the skin. It smooths, softens, and moisturizes the skin, and it's also paraben free. I really like this. I like using it on my face because it doesn't feel greasy and heavy like other sunscreens out there. I tend to have more of like a combination to oily skin. So I never liked the feeling of a lot of SPFs on my face. This one is very comfortable. It's not greasy. It absorbs into the skin really well. And I'd love to hear from those of you watching too, if you've experienced that as well, but it's just very, very comfortable. Now, I did put on here that according to our website, it is FSA and HSA eligible, and I'll talk about that in a little bit, what that means. But yeah, it's a really great product and I do love it. It lasts for quite a while as well. So, you only need a little bit. I like to apply this to, my face and my décolleté and make sure it's really absorbed in well. All right, so let's go over the ingredients. So we have our blend of active sunscreen ingredients, and those are what generate a sun protection factor of 50, which provide high protection against sunburn, and as such is suitable for those whose skin is highly sensitive to sunburn. So you can see the percentages there. And I'm going to have you to kind of take a note of those because we're going to go over another SPF product we have, and they really do have similar sun protection ingredients in them, okay? It also has hexyl resococonol, which is an organic compound with antioxidant properties and a long history of use in multiple applications. And when used topically for skincare, it helps the skin to look brighter and reduces the appearance of dark spots. So that's the ingredient in there that's going to help with that skin brightening. And then it also has dimethicone in, which is a skin conditioning agent to slow water loss from the skin by forming a barrier on the skin surface. As a skin conditioning agent, it helps keep the skin looking soft and smooth. It's also well known for its flow properties, which enhance the smooth application of personal care products. I also feel like with that being in there, that's maybe why it doesn't feel greasy. It does feel a little bit more hydrating to the skin. And so those are really the main active ingredients. So here's some FAQs that may come up. when using this product. Now, how do you use it? Well, you should apply liberally 15 minutes before sun exposure. Use a water-resistant sunscreen if swimming or sweating, and you should reapply at least every 2 hours. Children under 6 months, you should really ask a doctor. We already went through what are UVA and UVB rays, so hopefully you remember that like I do. UVA is aging, UVB burning. Why should you use a broad spectrum sunscreen? Well, almost all sunscreens do protect against UVB rays, but not all protect against the UVA rays. And UVA rays make up 90% of all UV radiation and cause more damage to the skin. So it is extremely important to protect against both types. Broad spectrum sunscreens like this one protect your skin from both of them, so you're fully covered. Now, should I apply sunscreen before I apply makeup? Absolutely. For maximum protection, sunscreen should be applied directly to the skin before moisturizer and makeup. Another option is to double dip by first applying a layer of sunscreen, then moisturizer, and finally another layer of sunscreen. No matter how you apply it, it's important that you allow any treatments or moisturizers to dry fully before SPF application so that the sunscreen can be absorbed fully into the skin. And I just want to point out that that is a question that has come up continually to me, like, do I put it on before my moisturizer? Do I put it on after my moisturizer? If you want to get the full effect, you can do the double application. But honestly, just get it on. If you forget to put it on before your moisturizer, put it on after. When in doubt, just like when you remember, put it on your skin. And when you remember to reapply, definitely do that as well, okay? All right, so let's go over our next product. This is the Cellular Laboratories De-Aging Sunscreen Broad Spectrum SPF of 50 plus. This also has 4 active sunscreen ingredients which protect your skin from both the damaging UVA and UVB rays that can cause burning, reddening, or premature aging. It also has antioxidants and extracts which increase moisture retention for smoother looking skin. It absorbs quickly and leaves no residue. It's comfortable to wear. It's ideal for all skin types, and it's a paraben-free formula. It is also FSA and HSA eligible as well, which again, I will go over. So the ingredients in this one is teprenone, which we actually learned about is in all of our Cellular Laboratories products. And this is a unique, comprehensive ingredient that helps fight against the appearance of the visible signs of aging, significantly improving the look of the skin surface for a smoother, more uniform appearance. It also has a form of vitamin E, which is a family of related compounds called tocopherols and tocotrienols. The vitamin E family is well known for its antioxidant capabilities, thus supporting the skin's natural condition by fighting oxidative free radicals. In addition, it does have honeysuckle flower, jojoba fruit, and licorice root extract, which are natural plant-derived ingredients that have soothing properties that might help protect and soothe the skin, leaving it looking softer, smoother, and nicely conditioned. It also has green tea extracts, which are rich in natural plant antioxidants. And these catechins, being the best known, because of their well-known antioxidant properties, green tea extracts are used in cosmetics products to help condition the skin and help protect it from environmental stresses, thus helping support a youthful looking complexion. So I kind of think of this SPF or this sunscreen being more of like an anti-aging sunscreen. The other one is more of a brightening sunscreen. They're both great. They just have different ingredients in them. All right, so here are those ingredients. You can see that very, very similar as far as the sun protection that's in there. So you can see the percentages of them in there. And then how I like to use it is I love using the Lumiere de Vie on my face. I like to use the Cellular Laboratories on the rest of my body. You can use Cellular Laboratories on your face as well. I feel like it is just a little bit thicker, doesn't absorb into my skin type quite as well, But I have used it on my face as well. So that's kind of how I use them. Of course, you can use one or the other. You can use them both, however you see fit. So how do I use Cellular Laboratories De-Aging Sunscreen Broad Spectrum SPF 50? Well, you're going to apply liberally 15 minutes before sun exposure. Use a water-resistant sunscreen if swimming or sweating, and reapply at least every 2 hours. And again, ask a doctor before use on children under 6 months of age. Now, can I use the Cellular Laboratories De-Aging Sunscreen Broad Spectrum SPF as a daily moisturizer? It works great as a daily moisturizer, particularly for those with fair skin. Apply the sunscreen to a freshly clean toned face. Can also be used after showering for the entire body, and this is particularly great for use during the day. Is it okay to use it with the Cellular Laboratories De-Aging Toner and Cellular Laboratories Rebirth Serum? These 3 products will actually work really great together. So after cleansing, reapply the toner all over the place, all over the face, follow with the Rebirth Serum, and finally sunscreen. And while the toner and Rebirth Serum both have moisturizing qualities, the sunscreen with SPF 50 plus will provide optimal moisturization and protection against the sun's harmful rays. So I know a lot of people ask, do we have any moisturizers with SPF 50? Or any kind of SPF, this would be a great option to share with your customers. And maybe they use this during the day and they use one of our other moisturizers at night. All right, so as promised, I'm going to cover the HSA and FSA. So why pay with the FSA and the HSA card? Well, using that card allows you to use pre-tax dollars to purchase eligible items. You still pay sales tax on purchases, but those cards enable you to pay directly using funds from your tax-advantaged account. So what is a FSA? It's a flexible spending account. So FSA is short for that. And it's an account you contribute to on a pre-tax basis to pay for certain out-of-the-pocket healthcare costs. The Internal Revenue Service sets guidelines for individual benefit plans to determine eligible healthcare costs. As such, some items may or may not be eligible for FSA depending on your specific benefit plan. So do my FSA funds expire? Yes, all remaining funds at the end of the benefit period are forfeited. So what is a HSA? It's a health savings account, and it's a medical savings account associated with your health plan and used to pay for certain out-of-pocket healthcare costs. Funds can be contributed to this account on a pre-tax basis. The Internal Revenue Service sets guidelines for individual benefit plans to determine eligible healthcare costs. As such, some items may or may not be eligible for HSA, depending on your specific benefit plan. And if you haven't noticed, on our website now, it will tell you those eligible products on our website. So we have more than just the sunscreens listed on there. So if you're kind of curious about that, you can go check out shop.com and see, other items that may be available that you can use those accounts for. So do my HSA funds expire? No, those funds will roll over at the end of the year and continue accumulating. So are the same items eligible for an FSA account as an HSA account? Yes. The product eligibility are determined by the same IRS and benefit plan guidelines. Your benefit plan administrator determined which items are qualified for reimbursement. So hopefully that helps clear up some of those questions, because I know that is kind of a newer feature that we have. All right, so I just wanted to let you know that all the information I went through today, or most of it, is actually in our SPF guide that we have. It's available to anyone partnered with our company in your business account, so you can go ahead and download that if you would like this, information and save it or have it available just for your knowledge or to help educate your customers as well. So that is available for a free download if you so choose. So join us next week. We are going to be going over some summertime essentials. So hopefully wherever you live, you're kind of seeing some nicer weather. So we're going to dive into some of our favorite summertime essentials and dig into them a little bit more and give you even more information on those next week. Same place, same time. Otherwise, thank you so much for joining me, and I hope you learned a thing or two about SPF. And I hope you join us next week. Have an absolute wonderful day.